Poštovani gledatelji, u ovom serijalu prikazujemo neke zemlje sjeverne i južne Europe. Zanimljivo, na sjeveru 5 država, Norveška, Finska, Švedska, Danska i Island, godinama zauzimaju vodeća mjesta po indeksu stabilnosti, ljudskih prava i medijskih sloboda, niskog stupnja korupcija, visokog demokracije, pristojnih plaća i odličnog obrazovanja. Ergo, sreće. Jug Europe više se percipira kao financijski zadužen, gdje jedna gospodarska kriza smjenjuje drugu, s manje odgovornosti, a više korupcije. I po anketama su nezadovoljniji svojim političarima i institucijama. Na sjeveru smo odabrali Finsku i Norvešku, na jugu Italiju i Grčku. Neke predrasude o radnijim i neradnijim narodima ćemo odmah statistički demantirati kroz riječi bivšeg norveškog veleposlanika, najprije u Srbiji, a onda i Hrvatskoj.
A statistic from last week, I think, in Eurostat showed how many hours do we work in the different countries. And some of the countries working the least hours is Norway, Sweden, Netherlands, and so on. Some of the countries working most hours is Croatia, Greece, and so on. We need the money for working. I think the working environment is in a way more stressful, but we work fewer hours for more money. And,
which is not bad.
Which is not bad, but the atmosphere is maybe a bit different.
Statistika kazuje da u Europskoj uniji najviše rade, kakvog li iznenađenja, Grci, a tome svjedoče dvoje mladih konobara koji su najprije radili u svojoj domovini Grčkoj, a sada su na poslu u Finskoj.
Here it's totally different, like no one works more than 9-10 hours, depends. Yeah. That's too much for them, and not like 7 days in a row, never. You always take days off. It's much different, and people have their breaks. In Greece we don't get any breaks, we just work all the time.
So how can you explain, logically, that Greece is a poor country full of debts, working 12 hours a day, with so many tourists, and Finland without tourists, working less, is richer? Do you have any explanation?
Not really.
Not really?
Me neither.
Not really. I know Finland is like a new country. It's like 100 years old maybe. But Greece has been through lots of things.
Yeah, it's like many war seasons.
Yeah.
But it didn't help. Your culture is 25 centuries old, with all these philosophers and geniuses that existed, and no matter, you're still with olives, you're still with sheep.
Totally.
And those guys produce video games for 3 billion
Yes,
Totally.
no, it's...
Didn't you ever think that maybe because here they are honest,
We can
that
feel
the
it.
system is better, and that in Greece somebody is taking a part?
We know that already.
Huh?
We
You
know
know
that,
that?
yes. Because we were born at the time that...
And like in our island, laws don't apply. Where we are, like Creta Island, where we're from, is like a really hardcore, let's say, island that people do whatever they want. And they steal a lot of money from the government. They just take like extra money. They say they have, for example, olive trees, and they don't. And they just take money from the government.
And they take subventions.
Yep, they can do whatever they want. No.
Subsidizing
Yes,
olive oil that was never produced.
Yeah.
Corruption is everywhere.
Corruption,
Let's be honest.
Da na sjeveru nema gladnih, nezaposlenih, bez krova nad glavom, jako siromašnih, demantira slika ovog najdužeg reda ispred pučke kuhinje, koju sam vidio u svom dugom životu. To se događa u Helsinkiju, Finskoj, statistički godinama najsretnijoj zemlji svijeta. Pogledajte samo koliko to traje, od stajanja u red do ulaska u veliku dvoranu gdje se dijeli hrana. Dugi redovi za hranu ne moraju biti prava slika bogatstva jedne zemlje, da bismo tvrdili kako je Finska siromašnija od Grčke, gdje su takvi redovi znatno kraći. A ni po broju milijardera u eurima tu nema velike razlike. Finska 7, Grčka 6. Otišli smo kod jednog grčkog, jer Finski imaju običaj biti samozatajni i nedostupni.
Greece, traditionally, in the area where we are, we had boats to go to the nearby islands and countries. The Bosporus, the Adriatic coast. I mean, the Greeks were going around.
Because you have many islands.
Don't forget that during the 4th century BC, when Athens was the golden era, Athens had colonies up to Marseille. I don't know if you know that Marseille, Nice are Greek cities, founded by Greece.
Napoli also.
Napoli, and especially Sicily. Sicily is Magna Graecia, the big Greece.
What's left of that glory?
I'm going to tell you what's left. That when I have been there with my daughters, I live with 7 women. A wife for 45, 50 years, 3 daughters and 3 granddaughters.
All right.
And I told her in Monaco that, you know, Monaco it was founded by the Greeks. She, really? So I asked the first guy who was there, a French guy, do you know that Monaco has been founded by Greeks? Of course. And we are proud for that.
Yeah, and you know who founded San Marino?
No.
A Croatian from the island of Rab.
Ah, you see that? Yeah.
So we make the small countries 2 square
So,
meters, 2 square
now,
kilometers.
What's going on today? Some figures which are important to know. 90%, 90% of global goods are transported by sea. And 10% by truck, plane, and lorries. The carrying capacity that belongs to Greeks is 21%.
Yeah, 1/5.
Yes, but if you take into consideration that Greeks have now the big cruise ships, and we are not so strong in container vessels. And why is this? Because usually container and cruise ships, historically, they are working in lines with intergovernmental agreements. Par exemple, la France avait un monopole pour les transports pour l'Afrique de l'Ouest, avait un monopole pour le transport à l'Indochine. Les Grecs ne pouvaient pas y aller. Dans le transport du pétrole, on est propriétaire de plus de 40% de la flotte mondiale.
Mais ce n'est pas vous qui l'avez bâti, c'est la Corée, c'est la Chine.
Ah non,
vous avez loué
pas.
ou acheté des bateaux, n'est-ce pas?
Nous, qu'est-ce que c'est un armateur grec? Un armateur grec, c'est un chauffeur de taxi de la mer qui transporte n'importe quoi pour n'importe qui, n'importe où.
Dakle, da malo pojasnim. Grčki milijarder Nikos Vernikos ima 69 brodova za spašavanje drugih brodova na moru. 3. je generacija brodovlasnika u svojoj obitelji. Kao i svaki Grk, a to je i nama poznato, obično počne priču o povijesti i nepravdi koja im je učinjena. Razgovaramo o ovoj kući s divnim pogledom na more, prepunoj umjetničkih dijela iz njegove kolekcije, o čemu brine gospođa Marija, koja je Nikos preko e-maila, ne poznajući je, odobrio da tu osnuje dječje lutkarsko društvo, što sve naravno pomaže naš milijarder i pored svojih 7 spomenutih žena glumi djeda ovim curicama. Kako smo za razliku od Sjeverne Europe ovdje bili lijepo ugošćeni s kavom i puno kolačića i čokoladica, kako smo se već sprijateljili, malo na francuskom, malo na engleskom, Nikos nas je pozvao sa svojim društvom iz gimnazije s kojom se 20 i više godina okuplja u restoranu u muzejskom prostoru u središtu Atene, gdje kamerama nije dopušteno snimati razgovore najbogatijih Grka. I za nas je napravljena iznimka. Proradili su balkanski kodeksi. Imamo vezu.
So, Nikos, what happened? How did we get this permission? I see the priest over there. Maybe he held that.
My friend Dimitris is married to a well-known Greek woman journalist. So he explained to me that ministers, when they meet with journalists, in order to obtain a favorable opinion, they say to the minister, whenever you have a problem, call me personally. You know that.
And you used and abused that.
Probably Pavlos called the right person, and the minister gave by phone the permission or the order to the director of the museum to welcome you, so you have the opportunity to meet my schoolmates.
May I add something to this?
Sure.
Yes. My wife never used this method. She understood that if a minister would help her under a difficult position, a minister would probably ask for her help under a difficult condition as well. And if this was against her principles and against her ethics, then she would be in a problem.
And maybe the minister would ask more than she is offering.
That could be the case. That could be the case, yes.
And what is your job?
Well, I've worked in three sectors. I've studied in Athens, in Salonika, in northern Greece, and in England. I've studied economics, law, business, and management. And I worked in the energy sector, working with a multinational company, Exxon. Then I worked in the banking sector and in the health sector as well. And now I'm a pensioner. This means that I did not follow your example, working in one sector all the time. It was in the business world, but in different sectors.
So you don't put all the eggs in one basket?
In one nest, yeah.
Is that how you have that proverb also?
It helped me to start from the beginning during my career many times.
Ovi ljudi su po financijskoj moći u vrhu grčkoga društva, ali imaju jednu zajedničku stvar sa sjevernjacima. Svatko plaća svoj račun. U ovom slučaju po jednu kavu i vodu. Mene su častili i taj trošak međusobno podijelili.
I ko kaže da u Finskoj nema milijunaša i milijardera? Ja sam tako mislio. A gledajte ovu zgradu iza mene. Tu ima 50 stanova. Najmanji je 18 četvornih metara, a najveći je 360. Taj je na 3. katu i vlasništvo je El Fajda. Znate onoga što ima Harrods, što ima pariški hotel Ritz. U tom stanu Fajd je bio, koliko se zna, samo jednom, a njegova obitelj je provela 2 puta po 10 dana. Mi ćemo otići kat ispod, kod čovjeka koji ima stan u vlasništvu od 200 četvornih metara, vrijednosti oko 1.800.000 eura, koji osobno nije bogat u gotovini, ali ima umjetničku kolekciju da se smrznemo. A friend of mine who recommended me to you said that you are an open mind, that you're a typical Finn, and that you are very rich from inheritance probably of this arts. And it's not money, it's arts more.
It's, more.
Yeah.
More.
But it's not a tradition of Finnish people. I haven't seen in their houses these paintings, these objects of arts. No, they put a photo, they put something very modest. Why is it that?
And we were a very rural society. Until the 60s, I think about 75% of Finns lived at the countryside. So of course, and they didn't have so big houses, and art was not considered so important. Of course, it isn't the same situation now as it was still 50 years ago, even 35 years ago. We have become a much more international country in the last 25, 30 years. We used to be very eastern border of Europe, like we say. Of course, Europe geographically continues to the Ural Mountains, but...
I know this question might sound personal, too personal, but we want to know, you as a very wealthy person living in this beautiful building in the center of Helsinki, probably the square meter here is 15,000 euros, probably.
Slightly less.
Are you doing the same thing like your countrymen that on Saturday you go out wild with 5-6 beers and then at 2 a.m. You take a cab because you cannot drive?
I live so close to the center of Helsinki, so I don't have to take a taxi.
Okay.
When I return, I can walk.
But you go to the pub?
Yes.
Once a week?
More like 5 times a week.
Opa, so you are different. You have paintings on the wall, you go to the pub 5 times a week. What else are you different with your countrymen? What kind of car do you have?
None. I don't have a driver's license.
Ah, you are different.
My maternal grandfather was, well, you can't say he was one of the first persons in Finland to have a car, but he was maybe among the first 2,000 persons to have a car. My father's father never had a car. My father never had a car. My mother never had a car. She had a driver's license, but no car. And my father used to say, as long as you don't move outside the bigger Helsinki region, it costs less to use a taxi, even though you'd use a lot of taxi. And he did use a lot of taxi. But
it's cheaper than have your own car?
Yes.
So the criteria is cheaper. You don't think about being more comfortable. Who cares if it's more expensive, but that's your car and you drive it and you enjoy it.
Getting a driver's license in Finland is quite expensive. And nowadays, maybe in euros, maybe 4,000 or 5,000 euros to get the driver's license. So when I was young, when I became 18, since my family did not have a car, and I had very little money, so why would I have taken a driver's license?
U Finskoj i bogati mogu bez auta, u Italiji nema šanse.
C'è un metro in Roma?
Sì.
Sì.
3 linee, A, T e C.
Se tu togli lo pesciolo, tu vai, tu viene sempre lo pesciolo.
Ma immagino con questi conservatori di antichità.
Il problema è che a Roma quando costruisci scavi e trovi roba antica, viene la sovrintendenza e blocca tutto. Come scavi trovi i resti romani.
E si rispettano i pedoni?
Sì.
Lei ha una permissione speciale per andare in questa via?
Sì,
mi esplica un po'?
Quello è un permesso che serve per le macchine da noleggio. Con questo è noleggio con conducente, come taxi, simile al taxi.
Il valore al mercato di una licenza come questa è?
Di Roma?
Sì.
Questa è di Roma, 120.000 euro.
È una bella pensione.
Sì.
Sì. E quante volte al giorno tocca questa serenata?
A voi.
Quanto?
Tante.
Tante, ma quante? Quante tante?
Ciao.
10 volte?
Di più, 20, 25, 30.
20.
Dipende quanto guido.
Perché una persona in Norvegia mi ha detto che tocca la sirena una volta all'anno.
Ammazza.
E qui a Roma?
Molto di più. Molto.
Kad dođemo do politike, onda se na sjeveru ponose svojom demokracijom, povjerenjem u institucije i slobodom govora. Evo nas u norveškom parlamentu.
Sad ono tamo je kraljevska palača, a ja vam je pokazujem iz sobe predsjednika norveškog parlamenta. Njega ćemo sad upoznati.
The best thing with this view that you can talk about, this is the way the Norwegian democracy is. You know, you have the heart of the democracy, the parliament here, and outside is Icewall Square. So each day it's protests there. You know, freedom of speech is an important part.
These guys are Sami people.
Sami people, yes. And each day, you know, Sami people, it's for Ukraine or it's for cheaper electricity, everything, you know, that's the way it is.
Also Iran.
Also Iran and... Being born in a country like Iran, which has a lot of oil and gas resources, but also living in my country today, in Norway, having oil and gas, a lot of it, I know it's all about policy. You know, what kind of society you want. So oil is not automatically means that everybody has it good. That's the good thing in Norway. And, you know, we have actually after the American Constitution, we have the oldest constitution in the world. Not many people know that. And one of the most important part of that constitution is freedom of speech is important. So that's a part of our democracy. When I'm leading the meetings inside the parliament, I can hear the sound of the Norwegian people outside every day. I think that's a great symbolic in how we want Norway to be. You know, short distance between this parliament of the people and His Majesty and the people.
Na evropskom jugu, u Italiji, više se govori o brojkama, o uspjesima vlastitih političkih stranaka, o rejtingu.
Dunque, signor Fico, lei è il fondatore del movimento, partito politico, 5 Stelle. Come è successo questo?
Uno dei fondatori del Movimento 5 Stelle. È successo perché si sono incontrati Beppe Grillo e Gianroberto Casaleggio e insieme hanno deciso di fare qualcosa per il proprio paese. E quando fu lanciata l'idea delle piattaforme online che si chiamavano Meetup, significava chiamare a raccolta le persone sui territori di appartenenza. E quindi io vidi questo appello e fondai il Meetup di Napoli nel lontano ormai 18 luglio 2005. E questo ha permesso a tante persone di raggrupparsi, radunarsi, lavorare per il proprio territorio e dopo 4 anni, nel 2009, abbiamo fondato su queste esperienze il Movimento 5 Stelle.
Ma con la tradizione italiana di avere partiti tradizionali come Democristiana, come socialisti, come comunisti, come altri che hanno basse sistema, istituzione, come ha riuscito a arrivare a 30 e quanto per cento?
33% nazionale alla seconda elezione, alla prima elezione 25% nazionale.
E Napoli?
E Napoli più volte abbiamo preso oltre il 50% e alle ultime elezioni oltre il 40%.
E che è il segreto perché in Napoli il successo è più grande? Perché qui l'economia è più bassa o come?
Sicuramente in Campania, a Napoli, nel sud l'economia è più debole, ma io credo perché siamo riusciti a connetterci maggiormente con le persone di questi territori.
Kako u svakodnevnom životu, tako i u smrti. Razlike između sjevera i juga su vidljive.
U Finskoj naći parking je kao i u Norveškoj i svuda na sjeveru lutrija. Međutim, parkinga ima najviše moguće svuda. Evo, pogledajte ovdje s ove strane parking, čak besplatan. Ali gdje smo? Na groblju. Na groblju, jednom od najvećih, u Helsinkiju. Ovdje su groblja za kršćane, za protestante luterane koji čine većinu i za pravoslavce koji imaju svoje posebno groblje. Na jugu Europe spomenici su kao umjetnička djela. Veliki. Pokazuje se moć živog čovjeka, njegove obitelji. Uglavnom su obiteljski. Ovdje su više individualni, mali i svjedoče o toj jednakosti koja se naglašava i u životu.
Sjevernjački pristup. Nema razmetanja bogatstvom u životu, pa ni u smrti. Ali ima udobnosti i praktičnosti. Svojim automobilom možete doći do samoga groba vaših najbližih i prijatelja, dok je na jugu posjet grobljima često dugo i naporno pješačenje. A sad pogledajte groblje u Ateni. Grobovi najpoznatijih, najbogatijih, najzaslužnijih ističu se veličinom i izradom koja je u rangu najvrijednijih umjetničkih dijela. A tu počivaju biskupi, brodovlasnici, pisci i političari.
Ovdje je grob jednog čovjeka koga sam i poznavao. Bio je premijer Grčke, Andreas Papandreou. I ostavio je natpis na grobu Elada Aniki Stuš Elines. Grčka pripada Grcima. Socijalista, ali i nacionalista.
I druge zemlje koje smo snimali vole reći Finska Fincima, Italija Talijanima, Norveška Norvežanima.
U Grčkoj žive Grci, ali tu žive neki ljudi drugog etničkog podrijetla koji govore makedonski jezik, koji govore arbanitski, koji je u stvari neka vrsta albanskog jezika, pa imaju oni koji govore turski. To sve Grci podvode pod Grke, jer tema etnika nije ovdje omiljena. Ja se sjećam davno kad sam bio i kada sam pokušao pitati za manjine, rekli su mi nemoj, bit ćeš protjeran. I neke novinare su tada protjerivali. Danas nije ta situacija, ali opet nitko ne voli o tome puno pričati. Mi jesmo pitali i evo što smo doznali.
You also advocated some minority rights when we talk about ethnic groups, because in Greece you don't have ethnic minorities.
Because this is still prohibited in this country. See, Greece struggled in the 19th century, along other nations, to formulate a state with a homogeneous, so ridiculous it sounds, population. So it had to do some cleansing. You know, half of the names of the population of this country has been changed in the 19th century, especially because 100 years ago from now, this 1.5 million people from the East were forced to migrate here after the loss of the war between Greece and Turkey, and their names were Turk-like, Oglu and stuff. They had to change this.
Bariaktari.
For instance. So the victims of all this were Macedonians, of course, who were the Tsams, you know, Albanians, the old Albanians. Arvanitis is one. Tsameria, which is a part of Epirus and stuff, we have with Albania on that, which is a no in the public discussion today, and Macedonians. And to give you another...
But Macedonians are perceived historically as the problem number one. I don't understand. I mean, such a small nation. I mean, what danger it can represent?
Well, I'll tell you what the danger is. Of course, Macedonia is inhabited mostly by Greek migrants. So they had already an issue of how Greeks we are, because when you arrive in a country and you come from another country, although you're Greek, you're a foreigner. You're a foreigner there, you're a foreigner here. You know, everybody's like this. Neither nor. So Macedonia is a conservative, more or less, politically. They have to prove that they are more Greeks than others. So the fact that the ethnic Macedonian identity, Iliden, was 1903, which is something much later than Alexander and all that, dictated to the nationalistic approach in this country that, you know, this is a fraud, this is nothing, this is traitors, this is Serbs, this is Slavs, this is whatever they are, but they're not Greeks. And they should not contaminate the pedigree coming from Olympiad and Alexander and what have you.
Για βρεπέδα μας κλάω στα αρχίδια. Είναι ο Μόρις, από Αθήνα. Δεν σε ξέρει κανείς μες στην πόλη μου, μην το παίζει εδώ ιστορija.
Restrikcija prema manjinama vrijedi u Grčkoj i za novopridošle izbjeglice iz svih krajeva svijeta. Evo jednog svjedočanstva.
I was born and raised in Greece, so my whole life has been to Greece. You know, my first language is between Pidgin English and Greek. The way I move and the way I express myself is mostly in Greek, and the other side is the African.
Yo, what's up, no South? It's your boy Black Morris from Greece, representing Kypseli City in Ghana. Aida. Kypseli φασαρία, αλήθεια και αδρεναλίνη. Μα η βία φέρνει βία και η βία φέρνει λύπη. Γι' αυτό και πιο πολλοί θέλουν πλάνα να έχει μαύρους και αλάνια. Γιατί ξέρουν τέτοια κόνα θα πουλήσει, λέμε.
Your parents are from...
Both of my parents are from Ghana.
And they came to Greece?
They came to Greece early 90s.
Have you been in Ghana since you came?
I've visited Ghana once in my lifetime, so I didn't know much. I was born and raised in Greece, and I don't have a Greek citizenship. I'm authorized, let's say, as an immigrant. I've done everything that a Greek kid have done. I've been to Greek schools, I've been to Greek churches. I know when it's Easter time what to do. I know that when we went to school, we did the morning prayer. I know how to speak Greek. I listen to Greek music. I write in Greek. I love Greece. I go to the island in the summertime. I say opa. I eat souvlaki. I use the word malakas. I do everything. The only thing is, I'm a dark-skinned Greek. It's a hard thing. We live in 2023. It's very disappointed that we right now in 2023 asking ourselves why you don't have a citizenship when you were born and raised in a certain country.
Ni u Italiji manjine nemaju neka posebna politička prava, ali 12 etničkih skupina, među kojima su Hrvati, Slovenci, Albanci i neki drugi, dobivaju sredstva od države za čuvanje jezika, vjere i tradicije. Zanimljivo, i u Finskoj jedan mali postotak Finaca, čiji je maternji jezik švedski, obvezuju cijelu državnu administraciju na poznavanje oba jezika, i finskog i švedskog, koji se inače međusobno drastično razlikuju. Tri nordijske zemlje, Finska, Švedska i Norveška, imaju autohtonu manjinu, narod Sami, koji su nekada zvali Laponcima, a danas se taj naziv izbjegava kao uvredljiv. I mi smo prvi put vidjeli predstavnike Sami naroda u akciji pred norveškim parlamentom.
So I'm wearing traditional Sami clothing, but I'm wearing it inside out or the wrong way. And it's a Sami way of protest and saying that we are really opposed to something. So we show our beautiful clothes the wrong way, so you can see all the ugly stitches. And it's a traditional way of showing discontent. So here you can see the Sami flag, and we got reindeer pelts on the ground. So this is where Mikael has been living for 2 weeks now. This is a traditional level, so it's pretty warm and cozy inside. There has been a conflict between reindeer herders and a wind power plant. And 2 years ago, the Supreme Court of Norway came with a verdict that this wind power plant was a violation of the Sami's human rights, and that the state has to fix this violation. I don't know how it is possible in Norway that the Supreme Court verdict is not followed up. I think it's hypocritical of Norway as a nation that cares about human rights abroad, that we break them at home and government don't seem to care.
Tragom ove priče, otišli smo do jednog od središta Sami naroda u Oslu.
What are your values?
I think among the Sami community we focus much on, family structures and, also our communities, because we have to preserve our ways of living and our traditions, we have a lot of different traditions in the Sami communities. If you go from one place in, for example, south of Troms to the east of Finnmark, you will see completely different Sami people in how they dress and their gakti, also the Sami regalia, as we say.
Do you have a religion
that unites you?
Well, many Sami people are like Lutheran Christians, but also many of the Sami people are looking back to the old ways of shamanism and the old gods. So it depends on who you meet and also where in the Sami communities, like the central parts of Finnmark, in the mountainous parts, they are mostly like Christian, Lutheran Christian Sami, even though there are exceptions to this. Some Sami people do not believe in anything, so...
So you are pretty much like Norwegians?
Yes, in some ways.
My grandfather was Sami, my father's father was Sami, my mother's grandparents or parents were also Sami. But my grandma...
And you don't speak the language?
No. Oh, nobody does.
No.
In that area, I think the last person who spoke the language died in the 60s, so they kept the language quite long.
And what's the idea of this gathering here?
This is our house. I have taken back my Sami culture through handcrafts. I learned to do things that belongs to my area. There is language classes, there is just meetings for elderly people to just have a community. So we do a lot of different things here. But today we are weaving bands. And it's a way to take it back. This is ours.
But what's the difference, let's say? Could you recognize someone who is Sami without knowing him? The way he behaves, the way he talks, the way he educates his children?
I can, when I'm at home, I come from the north, and when I walk in the street, I can see many who has, I can tell that they are Sami, but I don't think I look Sami at all.
Da, teško je prepoznati tu razliku, nisu im vjerovali na jednom skupu domorodaca iz cijeloga svijeta da su posebna skupina. A onda su ih prepoznali po jojku.
What it happened was that the Canadian indigenous people, they looked at how the faces of delegation from Norway looked, and they thought, no, they don't look like indigenous people. They are blonde and they are tall and they are nothing like us from the Arctic area. Then one of the guys that was there started to chant the yoik, and they were just nodding. Okay, they are our people.
A jojk je ovo, u izvedbi djece jednog od vodećih Sami aktivista.
The Norwegian assimilation policy against the Sami began about 1850 and lasted for approximately 100 years, with the state trying its hardest to destroy the Sami language and the Sami national identity.
This painting?
Mm-hmm. You see the hand with the Norwegian parliament and the Norwegian industry shutting the mouth of the Sami skull. And this, I suppose, symbolizes Sami resistance.
You didn't show the king, the royal family.
No, that is not shown on this image.
Would you accept to live under the crown of the...
Yes, we have never been separatists. The Sami have never been separatists. And
So you accept the royal family?
Yes, we don't have anything against living in the states, in the Norwegian state and the Swedish state. We have never been separatists. We just want the state to treat us okay. Let us keep our language.
And now I want to hear that language that very few people know. And
I myself come from a family which, during the assimilation policy, my family lost the language, and I have learned it myself when I was grown up, and I now speak it to my children.
Tell me something, as you have taught these children to sing in Sami. Tell us something nice in Sami so that we can enjoy.
Mon namn är Mikkel Berg Norli. Mon Sami namn är Borde Mikkel. Man orandappi oslaves, mutta man daajashadan romsagaupugis ja dönnalakta onna suolo millä Helgelanderittos. Därmed sami viesus, millä gusta sami kulturviesu dappi oslaga aujagaupugis.
Which means, more or less?
My name is Mikkel Bergnoli. My Sami name is Guarda Mikkel. I've grown up in Tromsø in the north and on Dønna, which is a small island off the coast of the Helgeland region. We are now in Oslo and in the Oslo Sami House, which is the Sami Culture House in the capital.
Na našem putovanju bili smo u Grčkoj, u Ateni, najstarijem evropskom gradu više od 2500 godina, koji je prošao sve sustave. I robovlasnički, i monarhiju, i socijalizam, pa čak nakratko i komunizam, i pukovničku vojnu diktaturu, ali u kojem je rođena demokracija, u kojem je odigrana prva kazališna predstava, grčka tragedija, u kojem je rođena filozofska misao i gdje su postavljeni kulturni temelji današnje Europe. Uostalom i ta riječ je ovdje afirmirana. Kad dođete u Rim, ne možete pobjeći od povijesti, jer ovdje je stvoren imperij svjetskih razmjera, carstvo, stvorena je država, stvorene su institucije, stvoreno je pravo koje se i do danas proučava na fakultetima. A tu je i sjedište katoličanstva, tu je i bazilika Svetoga Petra, gdje stoluje papa.
Snimali smo i u Oslu, gradu velikih parkova gdje stanovnici uživaju u trčanju iz centra grada do obližnjih šuma. U državi koja ima štednju samo u fondu od nafte od 1400 milijardi eura, više nego itko u svijetu. I gradu gdje se dodjeljuje Nobelova nagrada za mir, koja u svom odabiru svjedoči kakvi su prioriteti današnjeg svijeta. Posljednju je dobila iranska aktivistica Narges Mohammadi, zatočena u svojoj zemlji, tražeći prava koja su Norvežanke odavno izborile.
I bili smo u Finskoj. Odjavljujemo se ispred zgrade Finlandije u Helsinkiju, gdje je 1975. održan KES, konferencija o europskoj sigurnosti i suradnji, kada je Zapad priznao na neki način Sovjetski savez i Istočnu Europu i Varšavski pakt, kada je odobrio da Istočna Njemačka uđe u Ujedinjene nacije. Kada je uspostavljena i neka ekonomska suradnja u vrijeme hladnog rata. Međutim, ustupak Sovjeta je bio da ljudska prava dobiju univerzalni status. Mnogi misle da je to dovelo do raspada Sovjetskog saveza, do Gorbačova i da je promijenilo arhitekturu Europe, što arhitekt koji je projektirao ovu Finlandiju, Alvar Aalto, nije mogao znati. Ali mi smo to doživjeli. Bar donekle. Poštovani gledatelji, doviđenja.
Čekaj, razumiješ, mogli bi sam malo zamoliti da ode na zrak snimiti.
A prije 2 godine ženi su pomislili da je to...
Slušanje, snimamo ili ne?
Late and there is no... Pa gdje si ti, boj, bu.
Bez kadrova, radio show, pučka kuhinja.
Čekaj, još jednom. Dobro. Prvi rekao stand-up u Helsinkiju, sindikat. Četvrtak, nego samo da vidim kad će početi moj drug snimat. Imate to?
Možeš samo reći.
Eto, dobro. Njenje, još jedno ću morati sam. Sad raskadirajte.
Kuuli tuon, saarnen siemenen sinne on.